Today we're going to go over Notes 1.1, measurements and the metric system. So you want to pull out your notes template or pull it up on Google Classroom so you can take a few notes. So the first thing you need to know is whenever we take a measurement in any science class, a measurement always has two parts. We always have a number and a unit associated with it. So you'll see my example down here, 21 yards. If I didn't have the yards there, I would have no idea what you're talking about. If you had just the number 21, are you talking about the 21 tacos or 21 burritos or 21 cars that you have in your yard? So you always need some sort of unit attached to a number. There are two common units of systems that we use. We have our English system, which is what we use, and our metric system. The English system, usually your units are miles and whereas your metric is your meters, liters, grams, things like that. So first we're going to talk about the English system. The English system you are familiar with, feet, miles, inches. This is based upon the length of the king's foot, arm, finger, because they're not uniform, it is very difficult to convert. It's not always the same. So you have 12 inches in 1 foot, but you have 5,280 feet in 1 mile. And when you convert, you got to remember, do I multiply? Do I divide? Do I do something like that? So that's why we have the metric system. The metric system is also referred to as the SI system, SI meaning the International System of Units. The metric system is very easy to convert. When we convert from, say, centimeters to kilometers, the only thing we're doing is we're moving the decimal over different number of spots. So the metric system is what we refer to as a base 10 system. So since it's a base 10, all we have to do is move our decimal place either to the left or to the right. So when we look at the English versus the metric, we kind of take a look at the different types of measurements we can have. We can have length, volume, mass, and then of course temperature. In length, the English is our foot, and then our metric is our meters. In volume, we have ounces, which is what we're sort of used to. You know, we got an 8-ounce bottle of something. But then we also have liters in the metric system. Mass, we usually talk about pounds. And then in the metric system, in grams. And temperature, Fahrenheit. And then in the English, or in the metric system, we have Celsius. Temperature is the only one when we're converting. We typically, once we're in Celsius, we don't convert to anything else within the metric system. But you'll also see as we start converting my meters, liters, and grams, and that's where we come from, kilometers, millimeters, things like that. One thing that I do want to notice with my volume, and we'll get into this when we do a few labs, is volume. You can actually have a few different units of measurements for your metric system. We have liters. That is typically for your liquids, where we measure them in a graduated cylinder. Whereas if we have a cube, a box, we can actually measure the length times width times height, and we can get then meters cubed. So really for volume in my metric system, I can have two different units here. I can have liters or I can have meters cubed. My irregular shaped objects, I'm usually using liters because I'm using something referred to as volume displacement to figure out the volume of that object. Whereas if I had a box, I'd be measuring the length times width times height. Like I said, we'll probably do a lab in class getting the volumes of regular shaped objects, regular meaning all the sides are similar, something we can measure like a box, and then irregular shaped objects like a rock or something where it's really hard to figure out what is the length and it's varying sizes. So when we convert in the metric system, we typically use what we refer to as the metric stairway, okay? Whenever we use the metric stairway, we have what we refer to as our base units. So for length, it's meters, and we use a meter stick or a ruler to do this, to measure that. For mass, we have grams, and we use a balance or a scale in order to measure those. And then for liquid volume or irregular shaped objects, we use liters. And since those are my base units, we then use the metric stair and come up with prefixes. And this is where we have kilo, hecta, deca, my base there, deci, centi, and milli. So you'll notice if I'm in grams, I can go kilograms, hectograms, decagrams, decigrams, centigrams, and then milligrams. So here's the easiest way to convert from one thing to another. So if I say I want to convert 32 grams to milligrams, okay, first thing we need to do is figure out where I'm starting. So I'm starting with grams. Where on my stair is my grams? You'll notice that it is my base. So where we put my decimal is actually then on that right side. Now, in the number 32, the thing you need to remember is technically I do not show a decimal point. But remember, the decimal point is always there, but it's just not shown when it's after that like that. So then on each of the stairs, you put a number. So that's a 2 and that's a 3. I'm going all the way down to milli. So I need to move the decimal here, here, and then here. And these empty stairs, we just put placeholders. We put zeros. So in 32 grams, we have 32,000 milligrams. Okay, that's what makes it so easy to convert within the metric system. All I'm doing is moving my decimal point to another stair step. Let's try another one. What if I start with .25 centimeters, and I want to go to kilometers. So remember, there's my decimal. So we're going to put the decimal here. The 4 goes to the left of that decimal, and then the 2 and the 5 go to the right of the decimal. This time we're going to kilometers, so we're going to the left. We're going 1, 2, 3, 4. So remember, in my empty spots, I'm putting zeros. So in this case, it becomes 0.00425 kilometers. So the thing you kind of need to remember is the order of these prefixes. How do I remember the order of my prefixes? The easiest way to remember this is King Henry does bake delicious corn muffins. So the KHDBDCM. Or there's a whole bunch of sayings like this. Kangaroos have dandruff but don't care much. Or King Henry does bake delicious cake mixes. Any way that you remember that, but that will help you convert within the metric system. The only thing that you really need to then know is when you have that base unit, That is really your grams, meters, or liters.